Welcome to this Trainsert.net production. Today we'll take a look at ASP.NET 2 Site Navigation. In our first steps toward implementing navigation in our web application, we need to create a sitemap. And I'm going to right-click my web project and choose Add New Item. And from here I'm going to choose a sitemap. It is very important for this to work that you name the sitemap accordingly, web.sitemap. Now you can change the name of the sitemap, but you need to do changes in web config to make sure that works. So we're just going to stick to the default, name it web.sitemap. As you can see, we're given a template, and I'm going to type in Alt-Shift-Enter to switch to full screen mode. So as you can see, all we need to do now is just populate these nodes. And we can create as many nodes as we want. But let me just stick to the following. So I'm just going to create the URL default.aspx. And this will be the home page for training material. And we can also give it a friendly description, for example, training page. If we want to use security trimming, we can specify what roles are available to view this item. But I'm not going to do that now. So let me just continue by saying that the mcsc.aspx will be the first URL and the mcsd.aspx will be the second URL. And the title will be mcsc classes, and then we're going to name it mcsd classes. Now we have one root node and two child nodes. And I've given a friendly description for one of these items. So for now, let's just go ahead and save this and exit out of the full screen. And as you can see in the solution, we have our sitemap. To really make this functionable, we need to add our web pages. So we're just going to say add new item, web form, and this will be the mcsd.aspx. Right click, add new item, and we'll add the mcsc, like that. Now we have three files, and if I navigate to my default.aspx page, you can see under navigation that I can choose menu. The menu can be auto-formatted through one of the following schemes. So I'm just going to go for the professional look, click OK, and we can also choose a data source. But from the list of available data sources, I have no option. So what I can do is click New Data Source, or I can drag a sitemap data source over to my page, like that. Now if we go back to our menu and try and choose a data source, you can see we can choose the sitemap data source 1, and the menu automatically displays training. If I go ahead and play this, I'm just going to click on play, and of course add debugging, you can see we get our menu rendered out successfully. And I can choose MCSC classes or MCSD classes. And as you can see, the navigation completes successfully, so it's working fine. If you need to customize this menu control, you have tons of options of doing that. And we're not going to dig it too deep, but let me just go ahead and right-click and choose Properties, and we can take a look at a few of them. As you can see, we can customize everything from how the menu control is rendered, if it's enabled, if it supports theming. Also, I want you to take a look at the orientation, because if you don't like it being shown vertical, you can simply switch it to horizontal. And now it will render down, and these menu items will be below instead. Also, you can choose to do images if you want. You can specify a particular skin ID. And as you can see, there's tons of options for you to choose. If you don't feel comfortable using the menu control, you can also use the tree view control. And the tree view control is really customizable. Also, here we need to specify a data source. So I'll just map it to the sitemap data source. We can turn on lines, and we can do some auto formatting. So I'm just going to do the arrows on this one. And as you can see, it just works. Also, if I navigate to the mcsd file and move down in our toolbox till we find the sitemap path, also referred to as breadcrumbs, we can move over an instance of this, and we can do some auto formatting, choose the professional look, click OK. And I'll do the exact same thing for the mcsc file. I'll go down my toolbox, find the sitemap path, and auto-format this into a professional look. Now if I go ahead and play the application, you can see we can also use the tree view control for navigation. Let me go ahead and move to MCSD classes. And you can also see that the breadcrumb control is just working fine. So we can see now we're navigated to MCSD classes, and I have the ability to navigate back to training. And I can go to MCSE and back to training. And all this was provided for as is. All we needed to do was just populate the sitemap with information. And this can be as deep as you want and have as many URLs as you want. So implementing navigation is very, very easy and flexible in ASP.NET 2. Now let's say I wanted to change the file name of this sitemap. So let me just go ahead and do that. I'm going to name it trainsert.sitemap. If I now try and play the application, you can see we get a server error. So what we need to do is we need to update webconfig with information about the new file name. So to show you that, I'm going to open up web.config, and we're going to move down to the system web section, and here I'm going to paste in some code. Now if you want to, you can just pause the video and copy off this, or you can get it from the internet. What's going on behind the scenes here is that we're typing into the sitemap section, and beneath here into the providers section. And to override the settings, we first need to remove the ASP.NET XML sitemap provider before we add it again. And the second time we add it, we can turn on security trimming, which is disabled by default, but now we can set it to true, and we can also change the name of the sitemap file. So instead of having web.sitemap, we can have trainsert.sitemap instead. And once you've added this section of code to web.config, we can just save it, close out of here, and can try and play the application. And now, as you can see, it executes gracefully. Pretty cool. So implementing highly navigational websites in ASP.NET 2 should be a walk in the park. I hope you found this video informative and fun to watch.